Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to class 2 of how to make Chelsea boots. In class 1, we created this mean form, and in this class, we're going to use the mean form to, make different components of the pattern of our boot. So the first thing we do is we will trace out the mean form, of course, marking out all of our cardinal points, the van point, the instep, the back height. If you don't know how we generated all of that, refer back to the class of class 1. Then we draw a straight line from the van point towards the tip, and then from the van point again away from the tip towards the instep. Then we cut out that mean form. We're going to place it on a right angle and use that right angle as our referencing for all of our referencing lines in designing this boot. So let's draw that right angle right now. So we use this rectangular cardboard to draw in our right angle. Then the next thing, we'll calculate the heel pitch of the last from which we created that mean form. It's a simple matter of placing the last on a flat surface, bending it until it is wedged by a pencil, and measuring how far it lifts off of the ground. It lifted about 2 cm away from the ground, so we mark in 2 cm on the vertical line of our referencing right angle. We place the heel of our mean form on that 2 cm mark and place the ball on the horizontal line of that referencing right angle, and we trace out the mean form in that way on top of the referencing right angle. Draw in everything, of course, making sure that we have our cardinal points marked out again. Then next thing, we're going to measure 2 cm away from the instep. 2 cm away from the instep, and then we'll draw a line perpendicular to the horizontal line of the referencing right angle from that point 2 cm away from the instep, and that's going to form the ankle, the front part of the ankle of our boot. Then of course we mark out our back height. That's our counterpoint, that's our back height over there. Then we draw another perpendicular line referenced again from the horizontal line of our referencing right angle, and draw it from the back height, and that's going to form the ankle line for our boot at the back. Then we will curve that so that it's not just a square 90 degrees something. We'll curve it from the counterpoint towards that back height area. Then that 2 cm point away from the instep, if you draw a horizontal line reference from that vertical line for the front ankle, you draw it towards the vertical line from the back ankle, that's going to form the 2 points from which we will measure the length of the ankle. So if you wanted your ankle length to be 2 cm away from that point, you just mark in 2 cm like I have done. But I changed my mind and decided to make the boot a little bit higher, so I'm going to do 2.5 cm. So measure 2.5 cm from there, 2.5 cm from there. Clean off the old line and draw in the new. So this new line is going to form the top line of our boot. Having found the top line of this boot, I'll simply divide it into 2. So you can measure the length of it and divide into 2, but since I have a pair of dividers, I'll just use the pair of dividers and divide it into 2. So divide that into 2. Yup, exactly. So now this middle point is, if I draw a line perpendicular from that middle point towards the horizontal line of our referencing right angle, that will give me a line from which I can measure equidistantly the elastic of this boot. But let me curve in from the instep towards the ankle line to get As you can see, if I wanted this boot to curve in a little bit towards the shin of the wearer, I could have actually angled that front part of our ankle line. But you know, this is a test boot and I want everything to just be upright and snug, so I'll go with the 90 degrees. Now let's get back to our elastic line. So when you're walking on Chelsea boots, you have to pay attention to the length of the elastic that you have. I've measured the length of the elastic. Never go beyond the length of the elastic that you have. So I've shortened by 2 cm on the length of my elastic so that I have enough space for stitching allowances and all whatnot. I want my elastic to be 4 cm, so I measured 2 cm on one side, 2 cm on the other side. Referencing again from the horizontal line of our referencing right angle, I draw perpendicular lines from those 2 cm marks. As you can see, I now have the outline from which I can draw in my elastic pattern. I don't want it to be a straight up rectangle, so I'm going to expand it a bit and draw something that makes it a bit triangular or conical, if you may. Sorry about the disturbance, an airplane just flew over my home. Then I will just curve it in like so. My freehand sketching isn't very cool, so let me use something to aid in drawing that in. So yeah, we've practically are done with the elastic pattern. So we've drawn in the cone and spread it out a bit so that it's not just a square or rectangular pattern, but much more triangular and conical. So this boot pattern is practically done. Just a little bit of fine-tuning, at the top line like so. Add that curve over there. Add it also at the back there. Shorten the elastic length so that it's not exactly at par with the top line of the boot. And as you can see, we are basically done with this Chelsea boot. So I will cut out all of the different components of this boot, and then we'll be getting ready to move to the next class, which will be springing the front part of this boot, also known as the vamp. So we're going to spring the vamp. But in the meantime, let us cut out all of the components of our boot pattern. So we carefully cut out everything, cut out the elastic pattern, cut out the back part, also known as the quarter. As you can see, all of our pattern pieces are in place. I've gone ahead to stick the flimsy paper on cardboard and add my stitching allowances to the elastic pattern, and also added lasting allowances to the back part. I'm going to leave the front part because that is still going to be the subject of our next class, which will be on springing the vamp. Now, springing the vamp is where many people have problems, so pay attention to that class. We're not going to deal with it in this class, so digest this class first of all and then get ready for springing the vamp. God bless you guys and see you in the next class. Bye bye.